Sometimes you can find yourself in a situation where you need to answer questions, and those questions will be coming from a person very interested in your job, and they will be interested in knowing whether you are prepared for everything you should be prepared. This is how you can achieve this result with Wardley Mapping. First, you build a map for your business or project or unit, and then you think about the environment and what is going on in that environment. You can use the PESEL framework for analysis. PESEL stands for political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors. And if you identify all potential changes which can happen in those 6 areas, you can start your preparation. And the preparation goes like that. You think about the first potential factor, like for example, technological change, and you try to figure out what does it mean for your value chain. And you get something like a heat map of components, and you understand where your value chain is most vulnerable to a change of this particular type. Then you go for the second factor, third factor, etc., 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 and then you get a heat map of impacts, which shows where your value chain is most vulnerable for changes. And what is particularly interesting about this approach, some components can change in consumption up and down depending on which event you are talking about, and sometimes there are events which can affect your value chain in both sides, and you don't really know what will be the impact of the change. But if you've done this analysis, you at least know that there are components which are fairly unaffected by plenty of changes, and there are components like this one here, which are extremely affected by almost every possible event. And those are the components in which you have to invest to build change management in them, because this is the only thing that will protect you regardless of what's going to happen. So with that approach, you are getting a number of benefits. First of all, you don't accept hidden risks, because if there is any factor influencing your value chain, you are going to identify it and you are going to understand what does it mean for your value chain. If you think that a particular event is a relatively low impact, you can accept the risk, but it will be an explicit risk, not a hidden one. You learn what to look for. Sometimes some components can change in the future, and you know that they can be consumed more or less, so there must be some capacity planning going on. But since you know that it is possible that the consumption will change in both ways, you have to start thinking about what kind of probes you will put around those components to pick up those changes early enough. And with that in mind, you can keep your options open, because you understand that components consumption can change in many directions, and you have put probes which will tell you when those changes are going to happen, and therefore you don't need to invest in those components anymore right now. You can wait until the right time arrives to make a decision. And finally, with these events and those volatility heat map, you can demonstrate what you are prepared for. And chances are that even if you skip any event in this section, the heat map will still hold true, which means that if an unknown event happens, your focus on being flexible will pay off and you will be able to handle it properly. In this way, you can demonstrate how well you are prepared to handle a particular project or a company, regardless of what's going to happen in the future.